Are
Afternoon.
you okay?
How you
Yeah, good,
doing?
thank you.
You well?
I'm good. Just waiting for Joey to come in, but he's
That's all
not in
right.
just yet.
That's all right. Take your time, no rush.
So Joey actually initiated the call, but he asked me to dial in with him.
That's all right.
Um,
Teamwork and that.
that's it. But I've just messaged him saying, "Are you in the Zoom?" And I assumed he wasn't messaging back because he was in, and clearly not.
Right, hung you out to dry.
That's it, definitely, yeah.
So what's
But I
your?
can take the notes if he's
That's all
not
right.
If
Are
he's
you? What's your relationship with Joe? Are you
we're cousins.
cousins? Okay.
We're cousins, and we own a business together already.
Okay.
We own a
Nice.
cafe in Liverpool. But Jerry's really wanting to get into property.
Yeah.
So he has had properties in the past, but
Mm-hmm.
they were like he bought them, done them up, sold them on.
Yeah.
Um, he's wanting to go more like down of the like rent to rent route
Yeah.
and the landlord side of things. So I follow you on Instagram. So I
Great.
sent it to Joe, and he had a little look into it. So I said, we'll schedule in a call and see
Yeah.
what he can do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Of course. That's what the calls are for. We can have a nice chat, get to know each other a little bit. Hopefully, I can answer some of your questions that you have for me, if you've got any.
I know. Well, Joey did, but
Well,
he's
he'd be
really
late
he's
to his own
really
funeral.
that's it. I know.
How are you? You okay?
Yeah, yeah, all good here. I was just explaining to Gemma how it works. I think she's been taking some notes.
Yeah.
Where is that? Can you do the Liverpool area now?
Yeah, yeah, we've actually got someone who does. They got quite a big block of flats on. Is it Rodney Street?
Oh, Rodney Street. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We got a guy called Chris who's got like a block of flats on there, and he's doing really well from those. He rented them from a landlady, quite a while back now, about 3 years ago, and he still got them. And she just wanted that passive income element of it. She'd bought the building. She didn't really want to do the management. She didn't really like the traditional tenancies. Like there's quite a lot of landlords that are a bit apprehensive about renting to like
Yeah.
normal tenants these days, especially with the new renters, right, builders coming
Yeah.
in. So she was quite forward thinking and she was open to like a company coming in and giving her long-term guaranteed rent. And that's what Chris has done with those flats there. And he rents them on Airbnb now, done them up really nicely. And he rents them out. He makes, I don't know, couple grand per unit in some of the good months, in the summer months, on the bad months, maybe 800, £900 a month per unit. I think
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
he's got six of them now in one block. So it can definitely work. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just doing the work, doing the work to get.
It's finding the right. Yeah, it's finding the right places,
Yeah,
find the right units.
yeah, yeah, for
Is that
sure.
something you
Um,
help with, Luke? Do you actually help find the properties, or do you tell us how to find the
Yeah,
right kind of property?
yeah. So I help you find them. Obviously in the course it's going to tell you what you should be looking for, but like sometimes the goalposts do change. Like I'm still looking for deals myself. So like in the WhatsApp group this week,
yeah.
I've been putting in some of the phone calls I've been having with agents, and for example, there's like an 8 bed property in the investment area in Wales where I invest. And they couldn't move it. Like it's been sitting on the market for a couple of weeks. So I phoned them last week, and they're going to get back to me today, hopefully, and let me know what the landlord wants to do. But there's opportunities on there. It's just sometimes it's the ugly ducklings, the ones that aren't necessarily the ones that everyone else wants to rent.
Yeah, the
Um,
look. Yeah, not a
the
looker. Yeah.
families want the 2 and 3 bed houses. Like they've got agents have got queues of people lining up to rent those. So sometimes it might be taking something that isn't in the best condition. Some of our best
Hmm.
deals have been those ones that are a little bit knackered, and we've had to go in
Yeah.
and turn them around. Just because maybe no one else has rented them, and they're not maybe
Well,
in perfect.
you get better prices as well, don't you? If you
Yeah,
say if they're all
yeah.
run down and stuff, you do them
Yeah,
up.
yeah. So those are the better ones. We have got some students who have gone more like down the new apartment, sort of route, like new builds, targeting landlords when they've just built, just being built, those types of blocks of flats and trying to get in there before any other agent does, offering them a guaranteed rent and then going down the like corporate Airbnb service accommodation model as well. So
Yeah.
we teach you how to do all of this stuff. There's different ways to do it. There's the old HMOs, which is probably my favorite strategy because, like I said, they're tired and you can normally get a better price. Those landlords are
Yeah.
in a bit more pain. They need a bit more help. Versus going for like the nicer looking properties, which might look aesthetically better, but obviously
Yeah.
there's a queue of people trying to rent those as well.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
your offer has to be
Do
a
you
little
do
bit
you,
different.
do you contact the landlords just straight away? Just or do you just do you contact them themselves, or
Yeah,
how do you go about it?
yeah, we go straight to the landlords and we go through the estate agents because the agents have got like 80% of the stock, right? So it makes sense to still, be friends with the agents. You don't want to come across like competition. Some
Yeah.
of our first few deals were through estate agents. We worked with them for like a year, and then we ended up working directly with the landlords after that, like over email, we ended up sort of cutting the agent out sort of thing. So um, both is the answer to that question, really, mate. You want to go direct to landlord, of course, but there's obviously less properties on the market that are
Yeah.
advertised by the landlord. So I teach you how to do both. It's marketing. We write letters, we send leaflets, we make phone calls. But ultimately, it would take you going and meeting them as well. We haven't closed any deals over just a letter or just a phone call.
Yeah.
Those are more
Hmm.
for like warming them up. And then I'll go and have a coffee with the landlord, bring my little notepad and just go back and forth till they're happy. So say the things that I want, say the things that they go back and say what they want, and then we kind of sort of find a meeting point in the middle. But
Hmm.
as like you run your own business, like like it's a people's game. People do business with people that they like. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you need to come across likable, and then if they take a liking to you and they realize that you've got a bit more energy than them, the ideal landlord we're talking about sort of 50s, 60s, they're
Yeah.
probably at a point where they've nearly paid off their mortgage or paid it off completely. And they're just looking more for that passive income element. They're not too fussed with squeezing every penny out of the asset. That's the type of person you're looking for. You're not really looking for a
Yeah.
landlord with just one property. It's normally someone with four or five. They've normally made a bit of wealth over their time. They've kept the properties for 20, 30 years. And they just want that passive income element. They don't want to deal with any tenants. They don't want to deal with estate
They just
agent
don't want
fees.
the headache. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, because the only
And
other
that's
option
it.
is
You get to a
agents.
certain age, you just want to pass it on, and don't you? You
Yeah,
can cut all that out. Then.
yeah, that's what we've found. Yeah, our best landlords have been guys who've got quite a few properties and they just don't want a headache. You need them to be there in terms of like maintenance. If things go wrong, like structurally or the boiler or the windows, you need them to be able to be contactable for that sort of stuff because obviously you shouldn't be paying for that as a rent to rent
Yeah.
business. But small things like minor maintenance, we cover like £50, £100 a month if a door breaks or someone locks himself out their room or toilet pistons, things like that. We cover that just to try and add to that passive income element of it. And
Yeah.
we'd
Essentials.
get we'd get you to do that as well so that it improves your pitch and it's a better offer. Even down to like doing the gas certificate once a year, we get our plumber to do that rather than them having to get their plumber to do it.
Yeah.
Just little things that make it really like more of a hands off income for them. So that's
Yeah, to
basically
show
the
that you
pitch.
care, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much how it works, guys.
Do you have specific agencies that you go into? Is it just
All of them, mate. To be honest, it's all of them. I mean, like I've got specific ones in my area that I prefer. Some of them I've fallen out with over the years. Some of them I get on with really well. Too many chefs in some scenarios. That I've had in Wales. Like agents just want to get because if you rent through them, sometimes they get 10% for managing the property. But we've had
Yeah,
small little issues where, like for example, mentioning like the toilet piston breaking. When you're working with an agent, your first port of call is them for them to come and fix it. And if they've got
yeah,
200 properties, that can take like 2, 3 weeks to get something so simple fixed. And if
Yeah.
you're charging like your tenants a premium price with all the bills included, it just starts to get messy and they start complaining. So um, I have particular agents that I prefer in my area. By process of elimination, you will develop your favorite agents.
Yeah.
You'll sense ones that have an appetite for it, ones that are a bit more innovative, forward thinking, the ones that are open to company lets. It's just a trial and error situation. You've got to go and walk into all of them, have a chat, and once you understand how it works and how to communicate it, then you just do that over and over again. And as time goes on, you build relationships and you
come
get
easier.
yeah, you get your little network of people and you go from there.
How does
Yeah,
it work when, say, you've obviously got a property that is a bit run down, like the ones we
Yeah.
were talking about?
Hmm.
You've put a lot of money into getting it to standard.
Hmm.
How does that work in the long term? Do you get like an option to buy, or is it always just on the agreement that it's the
I
landlord's
mean,
and you've just
I
put that
mean,
money in?
no, it's a good question. We haven't actually got any like agreements in like on paper to buy, but like some of our best properties where we've had them for like 5, 6 years now, like the relationship with the landlord's so good that I've said to them like, if you ever do want to sell, like I'd like to think that I'll be the first
Yeah.
person you call. And I think having that relationship, like they can speak to me on WhatsApp. We speak most weeks, just touching base and stuff. So I would presume that if when they do come to sell, that you'd have the first option to buy. Um,
Yeah.
maybe 6 months before they're ready to sell, they probably would let us know first, and then I could get the money together.
But the money that you've put into the property just sort of goes on their value. You don't get anything
Yeah.
back.
I mean that's how obviously it needs to be the right price. So if you are
Yeah,
putting money in, like some of our most expensive ones, we've put like 6, 7 grand in. But equally, those properties make us like maybe close to 2 grand a month in profit.
yeah.
And we've had them
So
for
it's
5 years now. So it's come
yeah,
back, like it came back quite quickly within year one, pretty much.
yeah,
So that's down to the negotiation. And when you find the
yeah,
right person, the right landlord who's, like I said earlier, relatively wealthy, likes you, doesn't really have the energy to keep managing it, doesn't really care
yeah,
about squeezing every penny out, just wants a consistent recurring income every month, then that's how you can manage to spend a little bit on it, but really you'll get it back from the ongoing profit that you get.
yeah.
That
And
makes sense.
that'll be all ironed. That'll be all that irons out in the lawyers. The stuff from the lawyers.
Yeah,
When
when you say lawyers, you mean like the
paperwork,
contracts?
contracts for the
Yeah, yeah.
solicitors
So
and
yeah, so in the lease agreement that we would get you to use, that we use, it would say clearly, like how much you're paying, what you're responsible for in terms of like guaranteeing the rent. You might have like a certain amount of maintenance you cover, like I mentioned earlier, like £100 a month, something like that, £50 a month, depending on how much you're paying. We normally say around 5% of what we're paying is what we'll cover every month. And we'll put all that clearly into the contract. So it needs to be very crystal clear who's responsible for what. But ultimately, the contract is just a piece of paper. End of the day, like if the landlords can do whatever they want to do, so
yeah.
it needs to be someone who takes a liking to you, understands what you're doing, and like I said, yeah, they're at that stage in their life where they just want to get that passive income coming in.
Yeah. So does
Um,
it not tend to go through solicitors? It's just done
I
person to
mean, it's a little
person.
bit of a smoke and mirror really with the whole solicitor thing. Like we got our contract drawn up in the beginning through a solicitor, but in hindsight, when I look back, like there's lease agreements online that we could have used. Like we paid money in the beginning, um,
Yeah,
but I mean, in hindsight, like obviously you guys will get access to the same contract that we have, but we've just adjusted it as time's gone on. So we like add additional notes into the contract,
yeah,
just so everyone knows where they stand and stuff. But I mean, like ultimately it's their house end of the day, like you have to take that sort of gamble and they're going to take a
yeah,
gamble on you at the same time. And if you do have that synergy between each other, then the contract will never really get discussed. It's just like
yeah.
a piece of paper.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And have you
And
ever had a scenario where, you've said you want to rent it long term and say after 6 months they've gone, do
yeah,
you know what, I'm going to sell it, you've put money into it or whatever.
yeah, no, we've had to give a few back, but luckily those haven't been the ones where we've had to put a lot of money in. We've had some properties where they've been pretty much ready to go. We've bought some sort of furniture from the charity shop, things like that.
Yeah,
And we've had maybe 3 years out of them, so we've made some good money. And then when all the
yeah,
interest rates started going up, landlords wanted to sell, and we couldn't really do anything about that.
yeah,
We've had another one that we had for a year, where we had it at a really good price. We had it at like 600 a month, and it was a 4-bed HMO, and we were renting the rooms out for like 450 a month, 500. But then she decided she wanted to sell, and again, we hadn't put loads of expensive stuff in there. We'd only really done
yeah,
charity shop stuff, bedside tables, a bit of IKEA stuff here and there. You do need to get creative with a refurb. I don't encourage you to spend what I've spent. I say like, sort of 3 to 4 grand max is what I would prefer people to be spending.
yeah,
If that, you can do a lot for on a budget if you get creative. You just need to make it more homely, and more efficient. It doesn't take loads to do that. It's just clean, tidy, warm,
yeah,
and just improve the perceived value, not so much improving the actual value of it.
yeah, because it's not yours to
Not
improve, is it?
yours. It's not yours.
That's
So
it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just all about the relationship. If you get a good relationship with a landlord, then you don't need to worry about any of this stuff. But equally, I still wouldn't be encouraging you to spend more than like 3, 4 grand on a refurb.
Yeah, that's it. Because I'm just thinking, is there ever a time where it sort of has gone a little bit array like that? That's, because if you're only the tenant effectively,
Yeah,
even though you're renting it back out, you are only the tenant. So
yeah,
your rights are very limited. So they
yeah,
can sort of, do what they want. But
yeah,
as you
yeah.
say, it's probably more about the
Yeah, you just have to
relationship.
think, you have to put yourself in their shoes. Like they're probably, by the time you've got to that stage where you've agreed and you've negotiated and you've signed a contract, they want the income. They want the passive
Yeah,
income more than if they wanted to sell, they'd sell, they'd have it on the
yeah,
market to sell.
yeah,
Yeah.
So you just have to trust and, have a bit of faith that you have that relationship, they get on with you, you're on the same page, and then you just go from there.
yeah. Any questions, Joe?
No, yeah, I roughly know the idea and what it really what it takes. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just trying to find, just trying to get the gist of how you start getting the first ones coming in.
Yeah, well,
Well,
the
you've got to
first
do the
ones,
course first.
yeah,
Yeah.
you got to do the course. You've got to get yourself educated so you know what you're saying. You know, like the right things to say to agents, the right things to say to landlords. Once you understand and you go through the modules, you'll think, okay, I get this now. Then it's a case of, we normally give people a couple months to digest that information because you've got to give your brain a bit of time to really understand it. That's why we say 6 months because there's like two
Yeah.
months of just soaking it all in. Like, and then
Yeah,
it's like, okay, there's another sort of 2 months of like practicing it. Like people
Testing
that,
the water.
yeah, like
Yeah.
implementing it.
yeah, people that I onboarded in November, they're only now getting to the stage now where they're going out and doing the viewings and speaking with landlords, and then they're like, oh, okay, oh, that's how that works, and oh, like that's what if I said that, that's why that's worked, and they're getting a bit of
Yeah.
joy from it. So 2 months to learn it, soak it in, and then another 2 months to practice, and do the work in terms of the volume and get told no loads of times, and like, and then you might get a yes eventually after a couple months of trying, and then all of a sudden they kind of sort of come like buses, like agents start to phone us now and say, okay, we've got this, we've got that, all off of the back of work that we've done 2 months, 3 months prior, so there is a bit of a
Yeah.
time delay. It's not immediate, it does
Yeah.
take a bit of time. But
Just
within
finding the right ones, isn't
it's
it? That's
finding
it.
the right ones, like in anything, you got to kiss a few frogs, it's
Yeah.
business, it's
Exactly.
business, but you find the right
Is there
one or two.
times where you've said no to certain properties? So
Yeah, yeah.
agents with someone you just say it's not for us.
Yeah, of course. Not in the beginning, In the beginning, I was just anyone who said yes, I was taking them all on, right? And then,
Yeah.
then I realized like this isn't the right way to
No.
do things because like some landlords, it was like, okay, I've signed the contract, I've got the keys, and then the boiler's not working, and like I'm phoning the landlord and just can't get hold of them. Like they're just gone.
Yeah.
Or they live in
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dubai. They live in
They've gone
Dubai,
rogue.
and it's like I can't get hold of them at all. So some of those ones I have actually given back just because of as you know in business like you want to be efficient and speed normally wins like
Yeah.
and not every deal is going to be the right deal even if there is a good margin in it for you if it's going to take a lot of your operational sort of lag and drag
Yeah.
yeah. And
away
it's
and
stressing.
it's stress and you don't really need the stress you'd be better off finding someone who you get on with who's going to make it easier
Easy
for
going.
you and work with
Yeah.
them.
And Luke, in the course,
Hmm.
I know you said we'll get some like letters and emails. And
Yeah.
is there any sort of like pre-recorded calls, even sample ones of yours that we can listen
Yeah.
to for the flow,
Yeah.
the back and
Yeah.
forth flow?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So I'm actually uploading a few this week from calls that I did last week. It's going to be
Okay.
constantly evolving, so it's not like it's set in stone.
Yeah, of
As I
course.
said, whenever I get like a breakthrough, I'll be in the WhatsApp group voice noting people, telling you what's worked for me. And I will be like recording my calls, and I've already recorded them. I've just got to put them in the group now and
Yeah,
get them onto the course. So yes, there will be
brilliant.
recorded
Yeah,
calls for me, yeah. But and I'll also try and get you to record some of yours as well maybe even on some of our sessions on like a Sunday, once we get to that stage, I might even like pick some properties out for you in your area and say like give them a call, put you on the spot a little bit,
yeah,
and I'll just listen
that's
and
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
hear what you're saying,
Yeah, that'll be nice. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
Just
definitely.
trying to find the right ones. But
Yeah,
as I say,
yeah,
you've been through it, so you'd have a better eye and a better understanding
And
to.
what
yeah,
Luke said at the beginning, he said he's made mistakes, so it's good
yeah,
for the course that we can learn from someone else's
yeah.
mistakes rather than our
I've
own
made
to start with. I mean, you're never going to get it right
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
away, but at least you've got
no.
the experience.
Yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes, and that's the whole purpose of it is that you don't make the same ones, and sometimes the agents, you go through this process of like you're trying to get them to like you, and then you get your first one, and then it's like they can almost see you come in, you're so keen. And
Yeah,
I've had situations where like I'm working with the young sort of letting agent in a big estate agents, and he's given me a couple good properties, but then like the senior letting agent gets involved and starts sending me like these flogging me a dead horse almost, like and then like I've got the keys to it, and it's just like it's a shit property, like it's terrible
yeah,
to run, it's inefficient, the heating bills through the roof, like it's just
yeah.
a bad bit of business. So you're not going to make those mistakes with me here. That's the whole point of me being able to guide you.
Sorry, Luke, as well. On a rent to rent, are you
Hmm.
responsible for the utilities or the your tenants?
Yeah, so we normally do pay the utilities, just because the whole nature of the business is like you want it to be an affordable, convenient model for tenants to come in and be able to like move straight in. Like we don't even charge deposits with some of the properties just because we want it to be as easy as possible for people
Yeah.
and companies to want to come and stay in our accommodation. And the type of tenants you're going to be targeting, that they don't really want to pay the bills. You know,
Yeah.
they might be there for 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months. It's going to depend. They're happy to pay a premium, but they want everything included in one package.
Yeah, and you get that. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. There are some
Yeah.
scenarios where you could let them pay the bills if they wanted to be more of a long-term tenant, but I think the model works better if you package everything together and
Yeah, and it's just to come in, one set fee, and they're good to go, aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah, that works
Yeah.
best for us. That's what we found over time
Yeah.
anyway.
And is it mainly residential tenants, as in families, couples, or is it, like you said before, Airbnbs, holiday rentals,
Yeah.
or is it just a complete
I mean,
mixture?
it completely depends. Like some of the bigger properties that we've got,
Depends where it is as well, doesn't it?
it does, it
Depends where
does. It totally
located.
depends. Like some of the big HMOs, you get different types of HMOs. So you get some that are normal houses, 5-bed house, 2 bathrooms, and they're just rooms. Those are normally like working professionals that we have in those properties, like individual
Yeah,
people. Some of the bigger units that we have, they're like big blocks, so they're like bed sits, so they all have
yeah,
their own bathroom and their own little
yeah,
kitchenettes
like
in them.
studio, yeah,
So they're like contractors, engineers in those. Some of those people are like not families, but like couples, I guess, say in the bigger flats.
yeah,
But then some of the smaller units that we have, like 2-bed houses, 3-bed houses, those will be more like Airbnb,
yeah.
staycation, like where we invest in Wales, there's quite a lot of like attractions there. Believe it or not, it's not just like sheep everywhere. There's like hills and
Valleys.
mountains to climb and all that sort of stuff. And like
Yeah,
there's like a bike park and Brecon Beacons. I don't know if you've heard of that place, but it's just a place where people like to go and walk and travel and take pictures and things like that. So you can structure it towards whichever group you want to target, you know. But
I
obviously,
suppose in Liverpool it'd be like the city centre
yeah,
around the
By
Dock
the
and so
universities
on.
and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, that would
yeah,
all be your Airbnb
yeah,
staycations, and then
yeah,
further in town, out of
yeah.
town would be more your
Staff
professionals. Yeah.
accommodation.
Exactly.
Okay.
We try and get you to float between the two, you know. We don't want you to necessarily only be focused on HMOs or only be focused on contractors. You know, there's a big market out there, you know, and it's all of the above, you know. It can be contractors, it can
Yeah.
be people staying for holiday lets, it can be people who are in between buying and selling a house, they need somewhere to stay in between. We've had all sorts, you know.
Yeah.
Anywhere near hospitals, places like that. We get a lot of nurses that we've had for 2, 3 months and they extend for another 6 months and then they're there for a couple
Yeah.
of years before you know it, you know. So once you furnish it, you set all the bills up, you have a fair price and you get the pricing right, you're going to see for yourself, you'll be getting all sorts of different messages from people who want different terms and you can broker that
Yeah.
price totally down to you, you
Okay.
know.
Perfect. Anything else, Joe?
No, not off the top of my head. I can't think at the moment.
Well,
Yeah, it's just having a little look through it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If all the questions do come back to you and you got any more, then feel free. Like after we get off the call, you'll get an email, and if you want to jump on another call, we can go over some more stuff again. You know, it's no pressure sales here. You got a bit of time.
Oh, thanks very much for that, Luke. I appreciate it.
Okay,
That's
Luke.
all right.
Yeah, thank
That's
you
all
very
right.
much.
That's all right. No worries, guys. Have a
Oh,
chat.
We'll chat soon.
Yeah, look out for the email because it probably will go into your junk.
No,
So
no, you're all right.
look out for that, and
I'll
yeah, hopefully I'll speak to you guys soon.
Oh, thanks a
all right.
lot.
Cheers
Take
for
care,
that.
bud.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
No
care.
worries. No worries.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.